This game was played between Magnus Carlsen and Vincent Keymer in FIDE World Cup 2023, where Magnus started with 1 e4. Vincent replies with e5. Magnus plays knight to f3. Vincent replies with knight to c6. And here Magnus plays bishop to b5. Started with royal Lopez, are also called Spanish game. Here there are multiple options for black. One is to play knight to f6 going for Berlin. One option is to go uh, bishop to e7 going for some closed royal Lopez variations like Brer variation, Chigorin variation, or Archangle variation. Plus, there is one more option that is going straight forward for a6, kicking this bishop away. There are some minor options like going for d4, knight to d4, going for bird's variation, knight to f7, going for Kauzia variation of royal Lopez, but these two later variations are not famous at high level. So Vincent goes for a6. Magnus retreats his bishop to a4. Vincent goes for f6, knight to f6. Magnus. So here there are two moves, two main moves. One is castling, and second is d3, protecting this pawn. Magnus goes for d3, protecting this pawn. Vincent replies with c5, bishop c5. So this is called Anderssen variation of royal Lopez. So if this knight was not here, it was here, or uh, this bishop was, so at very third move where bishop was in here and this pawn was here, so this would called classical variation of royal Lopez. But in this situation, if knight was played here and bishop was here and rest of pieces were in their position, so this would called uh, deferred variation of classical royal Lopez. But this is called uh, Anderssen variation of royal Lopez. So here black continues with bishop to g5, pinning this knight. White black replies with h6 to kick this bishop away. Bishop retreats on h4. d6 was played just to protect this pawn, because this knight cannot protect this pawn and this pawn was hanging, so d6 was played. Here Magnus strikes on the center by pushing this pawn to d4. Either he has to retreat his bishop, or has to take this pawn, or he has to retreat his bishop. So he takes this pawn. White takes back. So here either he can take this knight, because he cannot take with queen, because if this was taken with queen, after this move queen was hanging and also this bishop would be attacked. So there is one good option to take this. If uh, White doesn't know much theory, he would have made a blunder. But Vincent goes for solid play. He goes bishop to d7, unpinning this knight. Now, White takes the knight, and Vincent takes with pawn, doubling the pawns. Here, Magnus develops knight, black castles, white pushes the queen to d3. So here, white can castle on either way. Vincent pins this knight. White defends this knight twice. So if this knight was taken, he should not have to take it uh, with pawn, just to double up the pawns to create a weakness. So he retreats his knight to protect this knight. Queen e7 was played. Now this pawn is attacked twice. Since this knight is pinned, so this pawn is loose. So Magnus first castles and unpin this knight. Now pressure is increasing on this pawn. Another attacker comes on this file. Magnus defends with f3. Queen to e5 was played. a3 was played. Just to kick out this bishop. Bishop takes. Queen takes. So here there is a trick to win this pawn. If black takes this pawn, white takes back. Queen takes and attacks this bishop. And queen takes and attacks this knight and this bishop. So in this way, these two pawns will be eaten, one with knight, one with queen, and also g take one of these pieces because white cannot defend both these pieces at a time. So he has to defend one of these pieces, and after this maneuver white would lose these two pawns and black would be way up in this game. But Vincent misses this opportunity and takes this queen. White takes back with the knight. So here Magnus Carlsen in the game was so stunned that Vincent did not realize he could have maneuvered in such a way that he could win two pawns and to be at a better position, but he missed. Magnus was just stunned during the game. So black. So after this, we are entering. After this move 18, we are entering some sort of end game maneuvering where black plays knight to h7 because this was hanging. It's not hanging, but this was attacked by this bishop, just in order not to create another weakness by doubling these pawns. So he just retreats this knight. Magnus pushes g pawn to g4. f6 was played. h3 was played. Here Magnus is swiftly improving its position and want to play in such a way to win the end game, where Vincent replies with knight to f8, just retreating his knight and coming to a better position. Bishop g3 was played. Knight to e6 was played, h4 was played, king to f7, h5, rook to d8 was played, rook to e1 was played, bishop to c8, rook to d3. One idea is to double these pawns, and second is to slide this rook in this file uh, for any situation where it has to attack or defend any of the pawns. Bishop to b7 was played, knight to b1 was played, but because here he was knight was not doing much, and also it was blocking these pawns, so that white can push these pawns at whenever needed. c5 was played, c4 was played, bishop to c6 was played, b3 was played, rook to b8 was played, just to put rook at a better square at an open file. Bishop to f2 was played, rook to b7 was played, knight to d2 was played, protecting this pawn twice, because sooner or later these rooks are going to be doubled. Black continues with b8, rook to b8, bishop e3 was played, because here bishop was not doing much. Here it is defending any of the push pawns and also attacking this pawn, and also defending these squares and continuing attacking these squares. So it was a good move by Magnus. King to g8 was played, king to c2 was played, knight to d8 was played, f4 was played, because f5 was played. Here uh, these are three pawns that can break up the position, because sooner or later Magnus White has to push one of these pawns to in order to create a passed pawn or break up the position, because this cannot be continued by in a blocked fashion. So he has to push one of them. So Magnus continues with e5, just breaking up the position. Vincent takes back. Here Magnus cannot take this pawn. Magnus takes this pawn. Vincent cannot take this pawn right away, because this could be attacked very easily. So he first protects this pawn with knight. Bishop f4 was played. Now Vincent takes and attacks, and also its pawn is defended. But uh, White takes back. White takes his pawn. A4 was played. Another pawn push. White could take this pawn, but after this pawn would be a weak pawn and can easily be attacked with a check. So White does not take this. Either he waits black to take this pawn. He takes his pawn with check, and White goes king to b2. Here this pawn cannot move forward, because this is light square bishop. It cannot attack this king, and this rook cannot give a check straight forward. So this is very good place to hide behind the opponent's pawn. So these rooks on this partially open file are now useless. So he goes e1, because in the end game it is very good idea to exchange one of two rooks just to create a play. Rook takes e8, bishop takes e8, rook to d5. He wants to win this pawn because this pawn cannot be protected either with this bishop, light square bishop, or this rook, because uh, this this pawn is covering this square. So he attacks this rook. Bishop to d7 was played, attacking this pawn. He cannot protect with any of the pieces, so it's loose piece. Bishop to e5 was played. Bishop to d4 was played. Black takes. Now black is one pawn up, but white is a, a passed pawn that can easily march for queening, for promotion. So Magnus pushes his pawn. Knight to g5 was played. Bishop to e3 was played. Knight to f3 was played. So here knights were exchanged. Uh, Blacks wanted to exchange his knight in order to draw the game, but black takes it. Black wants to exchange these knights in order to draw the game, because in this situation this game can be drawn. But since Magnus sees this pawn is very strong pawn, it's passed pawn, so the more less pieces are on board, is more good will be a gameplay. So he takes this opportunity and exchanges this knight and pushes this pawn to a5. So pressure is building. He Black wants to attack this. He moves his bishop. He moves his rook because he cannot move this rook to here. It can easily become a discovery. So bishop to d2 was played, attacking this rook. Rook protects. Rook attacks this pawn. So here, white cannot attack this rook with this king. So he first takes this pawn and attacks this rook. So here d1 was played, it gives a check and also protects this rook. So king has to move. c6 was played, king to d4 was played, f3 was played. So it is very important to understand how Magnus creates a play in here. This is actually very good example to understand for winning any type of end game, how to show the resilience and step by step in improving its position and creating the pressure and winning the game in the end game. So white protects this pawn and also covers this square, because rook now cannot go on this square. Bishop to g2 was played. So here, if white king goes somewhere in here, if white king goes here, now here, here, and here, he can defend this position and also attack this pawn. So in order to refute this idea, rook f5 was played just to cut off this king. He attacks this rook. Rooks move to f4, keeping on the same file. Bishop e6 was played. King to c5 was played. Rook to b3 was played. King to b4 was played. Because now this rook is trapped. He cannot go to here. He cannot go to this square. He cannot go there. He cannot go there. He just have one square. So he moves to a2, rook to a2, king to b3. So look how white goes from here, here, and here, just to attack this rook. So now this attacker has to move. So rook e2 was played. Now pawn is free to push up. a6 was played. Bishop to h3 was played. s7 was played. Now he has to defend with the rook. He attacks the rook because if this rook is taken, this is the queen with check. So he goes rook to a8. He first defends this pawn and black pushes this pawn. Actually it can easily be attacked, and it also stops the king from marching up. Rook to b7 was played, and here one idea is to go bishop to here and create some discoveries and attacking this rook. So here white resigns. So here black resigns, and Magnus Carlsen with white bases wins the game. So in this game, we can understand there was one opportunity that Vincent missed in the very beginning of the middle game. So he lost the game in the end game. And look how Magnus Carlsen maneuvers its bases. Just wow, to win the end game.